Hey, girlfriend. How are you, darling? What you doing? You are always on your phone, aren't you? I'm so tired today, and I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna jump on here for a little bit. How are you? What's going on? Anything new? Talk to me. I always feel like you're like on a Zoom and I could just talk to you. Oh my gosh. Hello. So a lot of what we're stuck on is maybe the fantasy of who we hoped that they would be rather than who they actually truly are. Because if your relationship is over, then obviously there are some things that transpired or they're just not your person, right? Like, I don't know what it is, but we always seem to put more energy into chasing what and who doesn't want us than somebody that does. And so I hate that you're hurting over your ex. And by the way, I will be praying for you because that is very, very difficult. It's a very real grief. But I would tell you this: take the shine off of them. And what I mean is, remember, like, actually get a piece of paper and a pen and sit down and write out all the things that they weren't. All the things that they weren't to you, all the ways that they missed the mark, all the ways that they weren't who you needed them to be. And that kind of helps you to focus on the truth instead of the fantasy of what you had hoped would transpire. So if you take the shine off of them and you start seeing them for who they truly are or what your relationship truly was instead of what you hope, that really, really helps. So start there, most definitely. Yeah. You used to go to Celebration. Awesome. Thank you, Jord. Ashlyn is saying the grief recovery program work. Ashlyn's trying to tell you that she is part of my grief recovery. So every Sunday night I do a grief recovery class and it's closed. Like it's only a certain number of people. So I just walked 8 women through it in the last 7 weeks, and Ashlyn is part of that team and part of the group of women that I'm walking through a grief recovery class. And she's trying to tell you that it was amazing, and especially with me leading it. So thank you, Ashlyn, for saying that. Little plug there. Appreciate it, girl. But we've been doing that for about 7 weeks. So it's a 7-week program, and I'm not sure if I'm going to lead any more groups online, but I do one-on-one as well. So if you need any help, most definitely reach out. All right, let's see. Okay, sorry, just had to block somebody. I think y'all were getting as annoyed with that as I was. Okay, thank you for saying that. Do I believe that couples need to be baptized before marriage? Like together? Is that what you mean? Baptized together? Not necessarily baptized together, but definitely on the same page and moving in the same direction in their faith and with the Lord. Yeah. How did my parents take my 8-week engagement? Jillian, awesome question. Thank you for that. Okay. So my dad died when I was 14. So I lost my dad when I was 14 and then my husband when I was 46. So I know both sides, and which is probably why I've helped, I've helped my kids through the loss of their dad a little bit differently because I endured that when I was 14. So my dad wasn't around because I'm telling you, like the whole reason I told you my dad was gone, because he would never, ever, ever have allowed that to happen. Absolutely not. So no, my dad was not around, and my mom, I had been a little wild child for a couple of years, and I had already lived, like I lived in Japan working for Disney. I was a Disney princess over there for 9 months and worked for Disney for 2.5 years. So she was kind of used to me doing like crazy things and doing things and like moving to Japan when I was 19 years old to work for Disney. So she kind of knew me as, the girl that just kind of did things differently. So I don't think that she was really surprised. I do know that what she did say is, I didn't even know you were dating. And my response to that was, neither did I, because I literally went to bed one night going, no way, and woke up the next morning like, I think I love him. Yeah. So it was kind of crazy, but my mom was not thrilled, but she knew that there was really no standing in the way of it, because I was kind of that type of person that was gonna do it regardless. I just really, and he was a good guy. He was in ministry. He was a good guy. He was a man of integrity. He treated me really well. So, that helped her to be able to kind of back off a little bit and let me do my thing. But she was also pretty used to me doing that. My favorite hairspray. Oh dear Lord. Thank you for that. It's nothing special. I promise you. It's the Tresemme thing. It's the black Tresemme. Yeah. How's Jordan? Jordan's amazing. My husband was a bodybuilder. Yeah, he did actually competitive bodybuilding twice. He did 2 different competitions, and then he also did a. Thank you. He also did strength. What do you call it? He had a strength team, a strength ministry team. So if you've ever seen those guys that like roll up frying pans and break blocks and run through 2x4s and do all that crazy stuff, he was a competitive bodybuilder, but in ministry, that's what he did. He did power team stuff. Message in the comment if you've ever seen the power team and if you guys know what I'm even talking about. Because that's what he used to do. So yeah, he definitely used his strength and his bodybuilding for ministry for sure. Any words of wisdom for girls feeling insecure because of guys? Yes. Never, ever base your worth and value on any other human being, by the way. Definitely guys as well. So if you are dependent upon somebody else noticing you, seeing you, and making you feel good about you, that is a good indication that you are not loving yourself properly. And by the way, I know that everybody talks about this self-love thing, and if you're anything like me, you're like, okay, whatever. Like, what does that even mean? Basically, it means this: loving yourself, or taking care of your soul, if you will, is very important, because the more needy you are, then the more you're going to be chasing somebody that's going to be filling voids in your life, and you're basically going to take anything that you can get. So if you spend more time on you, and you spend more time valuing yourself, getting to know yourself, loving yourself, and kind of preparing yourself for the right person rather than chasing the wrong ones, just know that, when you're honestly dependent upon somebody else making you feel good about you, that's a really good indication that you need to spend more time with yourself, getting to know yourself, and being kind to yourself. And makeup's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. You helped me a few years ago when I was struggling through DM. I will always appreciate you. Oh, I'm so glad. I do try to do that. I'm so glad you just said that, because I get DMs and I try to respond, and sometimes I don't respond, in as timely manner as I would like to, and then I feel really bad. So I'm glad that you were able to get a response to me in a time that it still helped you. So that's awesome. All right, somebody just asked, should adults, adult kids save themselves for marriage? Well, yeah, I think that's the goal, right? I think so. I think that is the goal, and that is because you open yourself up to a lot of soul ties. You open yourself up to, women bond through sex, and the problem with that is that guys don't bond that way. We think that they do. We think that if we give them that's going to actually cause them to love us more, but guys don't actually process that way, and they don't become more attached after sex. They, in fact, become less attached after sex, because we release oxytocin afterwards, and we bond. That's a chemical agent that bonds us to the person, and guys don't. They don't have that chemical release, so they don't bond in the same way. So yes, if you can wait, that is ideal, because if you don't, then you're going to be bonding with a whole lot of people that you don't want to be bonded to. And I wish that I could say that I saved myself till marriage. I did not. After I lost my dad when I was 14, I went looking for love in wrong places, and I was hurting, and just made a lot of really dumb decisions. And so I really wish I had not. But yes, the goal is, I think, and I say the goal is, I think that we all want that happily ever after, and to meet that one person and to have that bond. And, I would definitely recommend it, because it's hard to undo a lot of the baggage that we collect from being hurt, by giving ourselves away, and then being crushed, for sure. What was it like for your husband to know he was going to pass? What did he say to you and the kids? I'm answering the question from V. V, thanks for the question. He didn't say anything to me and the kids. I had shared that when he got COVID, he was quarantined in Jacksonville and I was quarantined in Miami with Jordan. And then I came back. We got him to the hospital. The hospital wouldn't admit him. They sent him home 4 days later. I brought him into my doctor, just like, please help me. What is going on? Like he's dying. He cannot breathe. They won't admit him at the hospital. I don't know what to do. And they called an ambulance. They put him on the gurney, and they led him into the ambulance. I got in my car behind him, and I basically just said, honey, I'll meet you at the hospital. They took him by ambulance. I was in a car behind him. They went through a detour. I did not. They got to the hospital first, and they unloaded him out of the hospital out of the ambulance into the hospital. The hospital was on lockdown, and they stopped me at the door, and I never saw him again. And he died 19 days later. So he didn't have a chance to say anything to me and the kids. We didn't have a chance to talk. I didn't have a chance to hold his hand. I didn't have a chance to be with him. My kids didn't have an opportunity to talk with him at all. So what was it like to know that he was going to die? I didn't know he was going to die. In fact, they called us on a Friday. He was in there for the last 19 days of his life. And they called us on a Friday and said that he had actually taken a turn for the better and he was doing a lot better. And so, Jordan had a modeling thing in Dallas that weekend and we decided not to go. And we're so glad that is our decision because on Friday they told us, yeah, go to Dallas. No problem. He's doing much, much better. And that was definitely not the case because by Sunday morning they called me. I was on my way to church to preach. And they called me Sunday morning and said, get your kids together because he's not going to make it another day. And then he died the next day on Monday. So we didn't actually have a chance to say goodbye to him at all. Yeah. David, I need God, but I can't make that first step. And I have to, or I won't make it. I'm holding on. Okay, David, I so love that you wrote that in there, and I'm going to just challenge you. Is it that you can't make that first step or that you just won't? Because we can. We can. It's just that we won't, right? So what is holding you back from taking that first step? What is it that's keeping you? Because honestly, you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to be a part of anything. You don't have to go to a church tomorrow to receive God. You can do that right here, right now. You could literally be in your bed or on your couch or wherever you are right now, and you could just call upon him and just say, God, I need you. Just the fact that you say, I need God, he hears you. And so all you've got to do is turn to him and talk to him. He's right there. He's right there. So it's not that you can't, it's that you won't. So is there something holding you back from talking to him and just kind of saying, I surrender? I surrender. Come into my life. Change me. Help me. Guide me. Just do that. Just do that. Thank you. Where is Cole when we need him? I don't know what that means. Oh, in the comment section, yeah, he was on last night. Cole jumped in last night. Jordan jumped in last night. Alec jumped in last night. Gavin jumped in last night. They were all here last night. So thank you. You lost your dad to pneumonia last year, and it's so hard. Alexis, I'm so sorry, honey. I know that's so hard. I lost my dad when I was 14. I'm so sorry. I do have, yes, I do have kids, Lexi. Yes, I have 2. Rachel asked, are you planning on getting married again? I'm not planning on not getting married again. I don't know. Like I said, I'm 49 years old. I'll be 50 in a few months, which is insane because I swear I'm 26. In my brain I am anyways. And I've been widowed for 3 years and I need and I want connection. I definitely miss that. My husband and I were like best friends. Like we did absolutely everything together. So I miss that. I obviously miss him very much, but I also miss somebody knowing you so intimately. I miss, being connected with somebody. I miss, being there for someone and having someone there for me. I miss all of that. So I'm not necessarily dating, but I'm not dating. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not actively out there. I'm not on sites. I'm not like going places to meet people. I probably need to leave my house a little bit more if I want to meet somebody. But yeah, I'm not opposed to getting remarried. I know that my kids are probably not, that's not a conversation that Cole likes to have. In fact, Cole and I did a podcast on it. I've only done a few podcasts. I have it's called Unslumped, on YouTube. And Cole and I have done a couple episodes together, and we actually addressed that situation about whether or not he will let me date. And so one of the podcasts is him saying that he's going to shake his hand very, very hard and let him know that he is not his daddy. So I don't know. I think that as time goes on and as my kids have their person and they are experiencing their own love and their own joy, and they see me alone, I think that they're probably loosening up on the idea. Like Jordan wants me to go and be happy, but then Cole's like, I want you to be happy, but not with somebody else. So Cole's struggling with it a little bit more, but I have yet to date. I haven't yet, but I'm not opposed to it for sure. Oh gosh, how do you get through living alone in the beginning? I'm worried for my mom when my dad goes. It is incredibly hard. I would definitely say this. I have one of my favorite quotes that I hang on to that I got a hold of maybe a year into it was, I don't remember the author, but this is the quote. The quote says, when nobody's there to wake you up in the morning and when nobody's there to say goodnight, do you call that freedom or loneliness? And the reason why that hits me so hard is because I recognize that a lot of times it's perspective, right? Like there are days that it feels like such incredible loneliness that it's so dark and so deep. And then there are days that if I can take the right perspective, I can remind myself that I had 25 amazing years with that man, and that's all I was promised, right? And that's all that was appointed to me and him. I thought that I was appointed more time, but clearly I wasn't. And so that was something that I had to come to terms with, is that I was grieving over the years that I thought that I had with him. And I had to realize that I only thought that I was promised those years, that God didn't promise me those years. I only knew when I said I do. I didn't know it, but God only knew that I would be married 25 years. And so as a result of that, I can take kind of some comfort in knowing that I had 25 amazing years, and that I have to remember, is this freedom or loneliness? So some days I wake up and I go, you know what? I can go do whatever I want, wherever I want, with whoever I want. I could go live on a boat for a freaking year if I wanted to go on a cruise. You know what I mean? Like I could go do anything that I want. There's nothing holding me down. And so like I try to take that perspective, it really is a perspective thing. Some days I can allow it to feel like loneliness, and some days I can allow it to feel like freedom. And I can remind myself that my life's not over, that there's a whole lot more to live, How does my hair get so much volume? Dyson hot rollers, old school hot rollers, and lots of hairspray and layers. That helps too. What does a day in my life look like? Ava, I love that question. What does a day in my life look like? Honestly, I spend a lot of time trying to get out of my own way, if I'm being really honest, because when I lost my husband, I also stopped pastoring the church. So I lost my church, my family, my church family, my group of friends that I spent so much time with. So my life is completely different now. Like I even lost my income because that was my livelihood. And so now that I don't have that type of a job that I show up to every day, and I don't have my kids living at home, and I don't have a husband that's with me, my days look so different. And so I'll be honest with you, I'm still at the stage where it's like I get stuck in, I don't know what to do right now. And so I've just been really honing in on like what my mission is now. And, my mission is still the same, is ministry and helping people and loving on people and meeting people right where they are. That is my heart and my mission, but it's just a different method now, right? So before, my method was to be behind a pulpit and to be sharing the gospel and to be, counseling people. And now the mission is still the same, to help people, to love people, to meet people where they're at, and to extend grace. But I do it very differently. It's a different method. So now I do it differently. I have 13 clients that I lead through grief recovery. So a day in my life right now, on the days that I'm not just trying to get out of my own way, they look like doing one-on-one clients. So I have one-on-one clients for spiritual guidance. I have some like life coaching people. And then I have 13 clients that I lead through grief recovery. And they didn't physically all bury somebody. Like I have a couple widows that I'm also working with, but I have a couple of girls that I'm working with that they just have estrangement in their family and they're grieving over that. Some of them have broken relationships. Some of them are going through divorce. So I help people through their grief and where they get stuck. Yeah. Peyton's asking to see my ring. I don't know if you mean that ring, or if you mean my husband's wedding ring in the middle, because we were talking about that before. So you're a therapist. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a licensed therapist. I am a licensed and certified grief recovery specialist and also a pastoral counselor. So that's what I do. Thank you. You'd love to get in grief recovery. Message me. You can message me through TikTok or through Instagram, same handle in Instagram. And then also you can just email me. I have a website. You can email me at jennifer@jenniferbeckham.org. jenniferbeckham.org is my website. So I do I do schools. I do speaking for schools and churches and corporate. And so that's all on the website. So just message me and I could do a 30-minute discovery call with you and see where you're stuck and see if I can help you. And you could sign up for that either through my Instagram link tree, or you can just go straight to my website. And there's a place that says schedule a discovery call, and it's a 30-minute free call. And it's just a one-on-one Zoom with us. And I can just, talk to you for 30 minutes, see where you're stuck and see if I can help you. Yeah. Thank you. Is there any way we would be able to be... Yeah, you can message me through Insta. Your eyebrows appear to be very out of sync. Oh, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. They're okay with me. You're like, okay, how do I adjust living? Love the watch. Thank you. This watch, actually, story for this watch. It actually doesn't work. Is there anybody else on the call right now that wears a watch that's more like a bracelet because it stopped working a long time ago and you just haven't gotten it fixed? Honestly, I speak for big corporations too, and I speak for the Amway Corporation, and I, do their stage stuff and as a speaker. And so somebody came up after I came off of the stage and walked up to me and said, God told me to give you my watch. It was a Cartier watch. And she literally took it off of her arm and she gave it to me. And that was about 10 years ago. And so she said, when I get home, I'll send you the box and the links to it and all of that. And so she physically took it off of her arm and said that God told me to give you this watch and wanted me to remind you that God will meet all of your needs and that he's never not there. And so that was such a beautiful, thing that she did. And yeah, I've had it, I wear it every single day for the last 12 years, and it stopped working I think 5 years ago, and I just have yet to get it fixed because I have to send it away to a Cartier dealer, and I don't want to be without it. It's just one of those things, I feel naked without it, so I just need to get around to it. Yeah. Thank you. What else? Ashlyn's asking, do I have any other speaking events lined up? I will be working with a couple school districts in Georgia, and it's through a grant, and I'm going in to do their staff and to work also with police officers and faculty for the staff and how to help kids that are hurting and going through really hard times. And so that is set up at the beginning of the year, but it's through a grant, so the date hasn't been completely set yet. So that's the next big thing that I have. But as far as appointments on the calendar right now, they're just kind of lining up. I'm pretty much wide open at this point, Ashlyn. Yeah. I used to be on the road about 48 weeks out of the month. or out of the year. And so pretty regularly, like constantly. And since I took my sabbatical after my husband died, I haven't been on the road in a couple of years. So now I just kind of go out maybe 6 to 10 times a year. And I preached last Wednesday, but I don't have anything else on the schedule other than that big event that I have in Georgia coming up. Yes. Let's see. Any tips for struggling with anxiety? Yeah, so most definitely. So that is rumination, right? So I know that anxiety is absolutely 100% real, and it could be chemical, and there's a lot of different reasons for it. But I'm going to start with like the basic stuff because Cole wrestles with anxiety, and I wrestle with anxiety, but different than Cole. Cole's is different in that his is more chemical, I would say. And I think he would agree with me that when he's not getting enough sleep and enough rest and he's not taking care of himself, he gets really out of whack. For me, my anxiety is based on legitimate thoughts that I should be anxious about, right? Like if I'm not more careful to think about what I'm thinking about, I will get stuck on either ruminating on something in my past or in my future, and I'm not present in the moment. So what I would say as far as if you're dealing with anxiety is to stop yourself, because recognize that it's rumination. You're thinking on something either in your past or in your future. So stop where you are, bring your mind back into right now, and do something to ground yourself. And they always say that, grounding basically looks like, stop thinking about all these other things and intentionally focus on something in the room. They say that, walk through the room and do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing, which is, find 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things that you can touch, and, 1 thing that you could taste, 2 things. What was the other sense that I forgot? But anyways, go through those. And in other words, get your senses back focused on right here, right now, and ground yourself. And then start thinking about what you're thinking about. Because oftentimes what we're dealing with anxiety wise is because we are ruminating on something that is out of our control, something in our past or something in our future. So that's a starting point, is to ground yourself and to think about what you're thinking about. And I would definitely say in that moment, pray, and talk to God and tell him, because the Bible says that if you're a Christian, the Bible says that we have the mind of Christ. And so sometimes we have to take our mind and just bring in our thoughts. 2 Corinthians 10, 3-5, if you know scripture, says that we're supposed to cast down our imagination and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity. And what that basically means is a whole lot of words. But what it means is this, is when we have a thought that enters our mind that we don't want to think on, we don't have to think on it. Just because that thought comes into our mind does not mean that we have to think on it. So stop yourself, think about what you're thinking about, and cast that thought down and go, you know what, I don't want to think on this thought. And then kind of, the Bible says to give it over to Christ. In other words, God, I don't want to think about this. I'm asking you to help me and to take this thought from me and help me to focus on things that are true and right. And things that it's Philippians 4:18, I believe, are all the things that we're supposed to think on, things that are lovely and true and honest. And that's the problem, is that we're normally ruminating and thinking about something that is not 100% truth. So refocus your mind back on the Lord, back on the present, and just take your thoughts captive. Don't let them just run amok in your mind, leading you to crazy places. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Yes, Jordan is beautiful. I would absolutely agree with you. John, prison, drugs, and crime, 30 years I gave away. Now clean and sober, 2 years. A great job, and people and God. John, congratulations. That's amazing. That is amazing. I am so happy for you. Thank you for sharing that. God is so good. Yeah. I'll tell you what, 30 years, I mean, to be able to turn that around and to not ruminate on what has been lost, but rather to look towards your future and to say, I'm drawing a line in the sand and I choose something different, and then to battle that addiction, to battle those, that slippery slope. I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad you shared that. I'm so proud of you. Clean and sober 2 years. That's awesome. Good job. How do I feel about remarriage? I spoke about that a couple of minutes ago. I'm not opposed to it by any means. I'm not dating necessarily right now. I lost my husband 3 years ago to COVID. If you're just jumping on, and I haven't dated since, but I'm not opposed to it. How do you work on not comparing yourself to other women? Just by doing that, knowing that you're doing it and choosing to stop. I do it too. I don't know any woman that doesn't. So if you know that you're doing it, then stop, right? So you just told me that you're doing it. So when you notice it, again, do that same thing, right? Where I said about anxiety, where you capture your thought. So capture your thought and just know what you're doing and stop yourself and saying, I'm not going to do that. And then you focus on what's right with you instead of what's wrong with you. And you keep your eyes off of other people and you put your eyes on yourself, and you start celebrating the things that are good with you and are right with you. Because if you notice this, when we look in the mirror, we notice very quickly what's wrong with us instead of what's right with us. And it takes like intentionality to focus your eyes on what's right and what's good and what's true and what you love instead of what you hate. So that doesn't happen by accident. You've got to take your mind and you've got to get it into control, right? You've got to capture your thoughts. So when you find yourself doing that, the best thing that you can do is notice it, stop it, and then refocus on something that is good about yourself. And yeah, that's what I would say for that. Thank you for that. Oh, you're so sweet. Hello. Welcome in. Thank you guys for joining me. I struggled so much to get on. I literally called Cole and I'm like, Cole, tell me to get on this live because I want to keep this connection going. This is literally my second live ever. I did my first live last night and this is my second live. So this is so new to me. As you know, my kids have been on TikTok forever. And in fact, actually Jordan started on Musical.ly and now of course TikTok for both of my kids. And I'm just now kind of jumping on. And so this is my second live ever. And I was tired, didn't really want to do it tonight. And then I was like, no, I really want to connect with people. I loved last night. And for those of you that were on last night, thank you for joining me for my first live. And I called Cole. I'm like, Cole, what do I do? And he goes, you get on that live. So thank you for being here with me. Claire, tips for someone who struggles with motivation. So motivation is something that you have to pull every single day, right? Your motivation comes from something that you desire. Motivation just doesn't just land on us. We have to inspire ourselves by having a vision or a dream. The book of Proverbs talks about where there is no vision, the people perish. And basically that scripture has a couple different translations. And the translation I love the most is the translation that says, without a hope for your future, you will rebel or run amok or wander aimlessly through life. And so motivation comes from having a vision and moving in that direction. Like when you know what you want and you know what you're after, it's a lot easier to wake up in the morning and put your feet to the ground and start moving in that direction. So I would encourage you that if you're lacking motivation right now, sit down with a pen and paper, sit down in prayer and say, what is it that I want? What do I want my life to look like? What is it that I want in my life? What doesn't belong in my life right now? And your motivation will come from catching a vision for your future. And if you don't know what that is and you don't know what you want to do, then I would suggest to you, and I would probably assume that you're probably in an age where try new things. If you know Gary Vee often talks about this is the age group. Like when you're in your 20s or 30s, I don't know how old you are, but these are the years, right? These are the years that you try new things, that you find out new gifts that you have and talents that you have and things that you don't like and things that you don't want to do. So try new things. And when you find something that you're passionate about, motivation will come. But don't wait for it to come. Look for opportunities and look for things to put yourself into so that you can be inspired by it and you can be ultimately motivated, and it'll wake you up in the morning. Yeah. I struggle with motivation too because like I said, I mean, it was like my whole life was cleared out and I had to start over. And so I had to start in the exact same way. I had to sit my butt down and I had to go, okay, what do I want my life to look like now? I know what my life looked like for 25 years with my husband and my kids, but now what do I want my life to look like? Where do I want to go? What excites me? What am I passionate about? What giftings do I have that are not in use? And so that's what I had to do too. Yeah. So most definitely sit down and do that. I'm in the process of doing it as well. Motivation will come as you begin to get inspired by a dream that gets back into your heart. Is Cole on? Is Cole on right now? I didn't see him. Is he here? Did he stop in and say hi? Somebody's saying hi to Cole. So, Cole's here. Awesome. Hey, mama. Hey, baby. I love him. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. How old are you? You look young. Thank you very much. I am 49. I will be 50 in February. He says hi. Cole, what you doing out there, bud? Oh, is Jordan's trip a trip that she's getting engaged? No, she's not getting engaged on this trip. No, I mean, not that I know of. I mean, but I'm pretty sure that her dream is to be engaged in Italy or somewhere like that. And so I'm pretty sure it's not happening this weekend. They're actually all together like a family trip. So yeah. I'm new here. I am new here too. Big T. I am new here too. This is actually my second live ever. And so welcome, because I don't know what I'm doing either. I haven't seen you in so long. Wondering how you've been doing. Hope you're doing well. Hey there. I am doing great. I am doing great, baby girl. Thank you so much. Thoughts on becoming a grandma in the future? Cole Beckham, are you here? Are you here? Do you want to answer that question? What are my thoughts about being a grandma? Cole and Gavin are not, let's clear this up. Cole and Gavin are not pregnant. They've been married a year and a half. But they do want babies in the future, not just yet. They just got 2 puppies and their hands are absolutely full. So they will not be having babies anytime soon that I know of. But as far as my thoughts on it, I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. So I also know, yes, I'm Jordan's mom. I also know that the bride's mom is the one that usually is like right there, because that's daughter. And so Cole is my son and that's dad. So, to the baby. And so I know that, yeah, Cole says we're in the waiting game, LOL. So I know that, as the mother of, of the daddy of that baby, that I'll kind of have to step back a little bit because I'll have to give her room. I know that when Jordan has a baby, she'll be calling on me more. And so, yeah, but I can't wait. Gavin is an incredible woman. She is everything that I always prayed for Cole. When Cole was in my womb, my husband and I would lay hands on my stomach and we would pray over our baby. And we prayed for every body part. We prayed for everything. And we did that with both kids. And in fact, one of the things that we did when they were, in our womb is we prayed for their spouse as well. So I always say to Gavin that, and also to Alec, that you are an answer to 20 some years of prayer. Yeah. Because when I was pregnant with them, we prayed for their spouse and we knew that one day that they would meet them. And so we prayed for their spouse every day, that wherever they are, whoever they are, Lord, prepare them and bring them together at the appointed time. So yeah, Gavin is an incredible woman and I am so excited, and she's going to be an amazing mom. So yeah. Yep. Yes, I keep one of the cats. Thank you very much. Do you know which cat I have out of my kids' cats? So Casper did live with me, the white one, Jordan's white one, and then Olive was Cole's cat that he got in Vegas, if you remember that. And so when I lived on the beach in the condo last year, I had Casper and the white cat, and then Cole's cat, Olive. And so I also had another cat she brought home from Miami, from after some modeling thing that she did down there. She brought a cat home. So I had that one too. And now that she's moved out, she has Casper back. So the white one is not with me anymore. But I do have Olive. So Cole gave me Olive, and the one that he got out in Vegas. So that is the cat that I have. And then I have our family dog because nobody else wanted him, her, whatever. I don't know why I do that. for some reason, does anybody else do this, that cats are girls and like dogs are boys? And so I always call my dog a boy, a he, and my cat a girl, and they're actually opposite. So yeah. Anyways, I have a dog and a cat, and you know, they're wonderful, but you know, when they go away, I won't be mad. Let's put it that way. I will not be mad. How is Coco? Coco's good. Coco's awesome. How do you know about Coco? Yes, I've said the same thing. Yeah. How do I do my hair? I get that question a lot. Thank you. I've answered it a couple times. If you've been here for a while, I'm sorry, I'm answering it again. Dyson, hairdryer, old school hot rollers, and then lots of hairspray because I'm a 80s chick. Aw, my mom does the opposite, but she's 98 and get pregnant. I do visit Cole and Jordan often, probably not often as we got together in the very beginning, but they both have very, very busy lives. And so we try to get together at least, you know, a couple times a month to do like a big family dinner, or to, we used to go bowling all the time or Top Golf all the time. And so that was so much fun to just go out with all of them and just be crazy. But they just get so busy that we haven't done that in a while, but we do family dinners pretty often. And then of course, all of us have birthdays at some point. So we're usually getting together at somebody's house to do birthday parties. Yeah. Yes, I do live near Jordan and Cole. 25, 30 minutes from them. Yeah. Yeah. Did they move away? They aged out, they adulted, and now that they're on their own. Yeah. So Jordan will be turning 21 in April, and Cole turned 24 December 1st. So yeah, so they live on their own. A lot of us have gotten to know your kids online, but we love you and we're so proud of you. Thank you, Angela. I see you all the time, girl, in her comment section, and you have been around a while. Thank you for that. Jordan and Cole both have a very loyal, wonderful audience and friends, and I love that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I feel that you'll have another special person. I receive that. February 16th is my birthday. I'll be 50. Yeah. How did you learn to be so validating? I've been following Jordan for a while, and I want to counsel people. How did I learn to be validating? I have the gift of empathy. I think that empathy is something that we cultivate inside of us when we come from a childhood where we are having to be extremely aware. I was raised with a mom and dad, amazing mom and dad, but my dad was a very broken man. He died when I was 14, and he was raised as an orphan, and he didn't know how to receive love and how to give love, but he wanted to be a great dad. And because he was abused as a child, he was not very emotionally in tuned with his own self, and he wasn't very emotionally intelligent. And so because he was beaten and he didn't want to hurt us, he made it a point to, instead of when he was like mad or angry or hurt about something, instead of him leaning in and having conversations with us, he pulled away so that he wouldn't do anything hurtful. And as a result of that, he was one that like did silent treatments all the time, and he would lock his, he would come home from work and go straight to his room and stay there for, every night. And he would do that for months at a time, where it's like he just never talked, and until all of a sudden he blew up, and he wasn't a monster by any means, but he just was definitely emotionally broken. And so as a child, I grew up with a dad that I was always constantly trying to love and to please, and I was trying to please him constantly. And because we were walking on eggshells all the time, not knowing what was wrong and why he was mad or when he would blow up at us, I became very, very aware of my environment in the room and try to make everybody happy. And so I think that empathy is one of those things that you have, because it's you cultivate it over the your childhood. And I am a very empathetic person as a result of that. And I'm very aware emotionally. And so I have always just been very in tune with people's emotions, where they are, if they're okay. I'm the type of person that, like, if I'm standing next to somebody that's smiling but is not okay on the inside, they're totally faking it, I can feel it. And so, the way that I learned to do counseling and to be there for people is I'm just very emotionally aware because of my own childhood and my own work that I've done on the inside of myself. And so I just love helping people and meeting people right there where they're at, because I needed that growing up. Cole has that gifting as well. Yeah. So if you want to counsel people, then that's the route that you want to go. If you already know that you're very much like that, where you can feel people's pain, where you walk into a room and you notice, people and where they are emotionally, then that's probably a gifting that you have. And so I would encourage you to walk towards that and get schooling for it and go through all the, classes and everything that you need to do, and, become a counselor if that's what you know that you want to do, because it's needed, and it's more than just a job. I think it's a calling for sure. Thank you. Curtain bangs. Yes. I have had the same hairstyle since I was in 6th grade. It varies as far as like the length that I keep it, but I've always just had long layers, and these curtain bangs have been in my life since 6th grade, whether they were a thing and trendy or not, they were on me because they work for me. Yes, gifts do come from God. What's Jordan in school for online? Jordan, it has gone back to school. You're exactly right. And she's going back to school for, I think, business. Yeah, she's doing amazing too, by the way. Yeah. Both of my kids did really well and have done really well in college, and they were not really good students in high school. Like, they hated school and they love college, and they're doing so good. So yeah. Leo, my partner may be emotionally unavailable at times. Is it okay to continue to let it go? So, people that are emotionally unavailable, that doesn't have to just be something that we accept for how they are and just go, oh, they're just this way. If they are aware that they are emotionally unavailable and you have great communication and this is something that continues to be an issue in your relationship, then I would most definitely keep leaning in, because emotionally unavailable people can become emotionally available for sure. My husband, when I met him, I went from strangers to married in 8 weeks. I literally met him September 18th, was engaged October 17th, and married November 16th of the same year. So we went from strangers to married in 8 weeks. And when I married him, I met him when he was 23. He had a birthday in October, so then we got married. He was technically 24. So I met him when he was 24 years old, and at that time in his life, he had never heard the words, I love you, from his parents. He didn't say it to his parents, and his parents didn't say it to him. Their family just never, ever said it. And I was floored by that, because we have so much loss in our family. I lost my dad when I was 14, and we buried like 5 or 6 other people that year. So there's so much loss in our families that we always were very aware that we are not promised tomorrow, and that you don't go out of the house without making sure that everybody knows you love them, right? And so that's just how I was raised. And even though my dad was emotionally unavailable, so we always were very sure to make it known how we felt about each other, and to show up for one another. My husband, though, he had never heard the words I love you, and he had never said it to his parents. So I pushed on him a little bit. Like, when he would get off the phone with his mom, I would say, tell her you love her. And he's like, no, I'm not going to tell her I love her. If I tell her I love her, she's going to think something's wrong. And do you know that at the end of his 24th year, so like right before he turned 25, he was standing in the kitchen, and he said to his mom, he put his arm around her and he said, love you, mama. And because he was a little country bumpkin. And he said, love you, mama. And she looked at him, and his name was Anthony, but they used to call him BB. And she looked at him and she said, is everything okay, BB? And he was absolutely right. He said that if I tell my mom I love her, she's going to think I'm dying. She's going to think something's wrong. And the first time he ever told his mom at the age of 24 that he loved her, she thought something was wrong. Yeah. But their family grew to say the words. Their family grew to be very, over time, their family all now says it. I love that. And, you know, it's just something that's very normal for them right now. But they all used to be not emotionally connected, and, you know, they just didn't do it. And so they do now. And so I would just encourage you that if it is an issue in your relationship and your partner being emotionally unavailable, have that conversation. Because you know what? I this is what I know to be true. The things that we don't do to keep peace are normally the reason why there's no peace. And so what I mean by that is, you know, we don't want to have hard conversations because we don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to stir up any problems, and we want to just keep the peace. But keeping silent does not keep peace. It just buries what's wrong, right? It just buries what needs to be talked about. So I would just encourage you that if it's an issue, don't bury that, you know, most definitely address it, and, you know, just be gentle and be kind and meet your partner right where they're at and just say, hey, I want to be more emotionally connected, and learn about each other, and hopefully your partner will begin to learn about themselves and to figure out why it is that they're not as available, and then maybe they can begin working on themselves as well. So yeah. Do I keep in touch with his family? I love that question. Thank you for that question. I do. I very much do. Yes, I do. Let's see. His mom died last year, and I actually preached her funeral. Yeah. And so both of his parents, you know, are in heaven with him. So that's really cool. But yes, I do keep in touch with his brothers and sisters, and his nephew Daniel. Lauren is saying, tonight's a hard night for me. I'm struggling with not feeling pretty or good enough because of a boy. Girlfriend? Sweetie pie? No, ma'am. You decide what you're worth. You decide your value. You do not leave that in the hands of anybody else to decide. And I know that. I struggle with that as well. I've always, you know, that was always something that I think most girls struggle with. But I would encourage you to start spending some more time with yourself. And if he made you not feel pretty or enough, then you don't need him. He's not for you. If that's how he feels, let him go. Let him go, because his opinion of you is none of your business. Absolutely none of your business. I'm sorry that you're hurting. I truly, truly am. But I'm going to tell you right now that his opinion of you is none of your business. And that's what you need to continue to tell yourself. And then you need to look in yourself in the mirror, and you need to remind yourself who you are. And if you're a Christian, remind yourself of whose you are, and refocus again on your value and your worth, not being dependent upon anybody else. Yeah. Hannah, hey there, sweet friend. Much love from North Carolina. Hey there. Thank you for joining. I love that. How did I end up here? Pete, I don't know. This is only my second live also. And so like, I'm just trying this thing. It's new. It's new to me too. So thanks for being here. And thank you for that. Let's see. I like listening to you. Thank you. Okay, what else you got? Tips on getting over a loss. What kind of loss? What kind of loss? Is it like a physical loss, like you buried somebody, or is it a relationship or a friendship, or what kind of loss? Because there are over 40 different types of grief. So the reason I'm asking is, first of all, I would say, like, just generally, one day at a time. That's how you get over a loss. There are days that it's like 1 hour at a time, if I'm being honest, right? Like, there are some days it's just harder than others. And first of all is that 1 day at a time. But then secondly, give yourself grace. And I would say that because I think that oftentimes what we do is we expect things. And remember, expectation is just premeditated disappointment, right? So remember that you're setting your expectation on what? That you're not supposed to be grieving, that you're not supposed to be hurting. Of course you are. If you cared about that person, then when you lose them, you're going to hurt. So give yourself some grace and give yourself some love and some care, and don't be so hard on yourself. And take it one day at a time, 1 hour at a time when you must. But, just be kind to yourself. How do you get over a loss? One day at a time. And as gracefully and kind to yourself as you possibly can. Yeah. How did I deal with, Cole's still here. I love it. Hey, Cole, did you get your wrapping done? I think Cole told me to get on this live. He said, Mom, go get on the live. You did your first one last night. Get on this live. So thank you for making me do that. But Cole was about to wrap some Christmas presents. And so I have not even started Christmas shopping. Is anybody else in the same boat where you've not even started? Yeah, that would be me. Do I live alone? I do. I do live alone. I do live alone. My kids have moved out. My husband passed away. I live alone. Thank you. How do you deal with childhood trauma as an adult? You handle it. In other words, you don't just keep burying it and keep pretending like it didn't affect you. If you're an adult and you recognize that you have triggers and there are things that are coming up now in your present and in your present relationships because of your past, then I adamantly, you must lean into that, and you must find somebody to help you that can start, helping you to dig some of those things out. There are tremendous resources out there. And if you really wanted to just start somewhere, you could start on Google and Google, childhood trauma, and, Google that. And, obviously don't forget about the Lord, because, he's the one that made you, created you, and he was present for all of it. So he can help to heal you. So, not only plug into him and pray and get direction, but then seek out the resources and the things that you need to start working on some of that past trauma. Yeah, it's not going to fix itself. And if you notice that it's something of the past that's now affecting your present, then most definitely start leaning in on that. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Cole, did you just say that she's sleeping and she has a headache? Who, Gavin? Is Gavin not feeling good tonight? Aw, I'm sorry. Please go live more. You're very entertaining and refreshing to listen to. Thank you so much. I love that. I love that. Thank you for saying that, because, oh, yeah, she's out cold. Oh, okay. Well, thank you for joining me. I was just going to respond to something. Oh, thank you for saying that you're enjoying this, because I could not listen to myself back if you paid me. So I'm glad you're getting something out of it, because I feel like I'm just babbling right now. But I wanted to connect. And so somebody asked me earlier, why are you doing these now all of a sudden? And here's why. Because as we've talked about, I lost my husband 3 years ago to COVID, and my kids are gone. So I am home a lot by myself. And even though I am extroverted when I'm out in places, I can lean in and I can most definitely turn it on, so to speak. I can totally engage with people. But if I'm honest, I'm a homebody, and I am one of those people that most definitely could live. I always said I could live on a mountain with no phones and no people and be totally fine. And my kids and my husband didn't like me saying that. But what I meant was that I'm really okay with being by myself, and I need alone time. So I find myself kind of being locked up in my house a lot and not leaving. And I'm a writer and a speaker, so I do a lot of preparation work. And so there are days that, I don't leave the house, and then all of a sudden those days will multiply, and then I realize I haven't left my house in 4 days. I probably need to get out more. So I recognize that I could still connect with the world without having to leave my home, and that's what I'm trying to do, because the holidays are really, really hard for people, and they're hard for me, and I don't want to spend this time completely alone and being lonely, and so I'm being intentional with that, because I can just kind of lay in my bed and lay around and do nothing, or I can be intentional and not allow myself to, get in a funk. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Alone time is very healing. Alone time is very, very healing. And then I have come to realize and recognize that you can also take that to an extreme and where it becomes isolation, and then that's not good for you. So I recognize that I needed human communication or human connection, and I needed to start being intentional with that. So that's why I'm doing this, and that's why I'm connecting with you. So thanks for connecting back with me. Yes, Cole is saying alone time is needed, and he and I are pretty much the same, where he charges back up by being alone, and so do I. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, isolation, then lack of motivation. I hear that most definitely. Yeah, we isolate sometimes so that we think it's healing, right? Like and it is healing. Like alone time is healing, but the problem is that oftentimes what happens is we feel like we're healing, and really all that's happening is that we are just isolated and therefore untriggered by people. And that's really not healing. That just means that we have segregated ourselves and isolated ourselves, and now we're not being triggered. And then what happens the next time that we are around people? And then it's like, oh, yeah. So I realized that there's a time for healing and a time for alone time. And then I can always tell when it turns into isolation and I'm avoiding people because I don't want to be triggered. And then I kind of have to hunker down and be intentional about the people I'm around, and set some really good boundaries and only have good people in my life that don't trigger me. Yeah. I'm older now, so now I choose peace. I choose peace over popularity. So yeah. Any thoughts on the grief process for loss of a parent at a young age? Yes, Maggie, I'm so sorry. I don't know if that's you or if you're asking for a friend, but I lost my dad when I was 14 as well. And I've watched my kids go through losing their dad. And so the grief process of loss is, first of all, give yourself grace and recognize that every day is going to be different, and sometimes every hour is going to be different. Find somebody to help you through it. I don't know if there's any way that you could afford counseling or therapy, or if you could even do online. I do grief recovery, and so I will start, teaching more classes. Right now, I just do one-on-ones where I help people through their loss, but I'll probably start doing some more grief classes, or maybe some messages on my YouTube about this. But be very intentional about your grieving process to be kind to yourself during that time. Just know that there are certain times that you need to be alone, and sometimes you need to be around people. Just do what's best for you, and don't put pressure on yourself to do anything that you can't do. Like, don't live up to the obligations of other people, and don't listen to people say that you should be over it. Grief is different for everybody and how they process through it. And what I would recommend is this: allow yourself to feel it. Don't run away from it. Don't press it down. Don't escape into other things, because that's what happens. We start hurting, and instead of feeling it and healing it, we end up chasing other things and running away from it and distracting ourselves with other people, drugs, alcohol, addictions, shopping, whatever. And what happens is that never heals, because time doesn't heal wounds. It's what we do at that time that heals the wounds, right? So what I would recommend to you is that if you can kind of picture it, it's like if you're standing in an ocean and you feel a wave coming, you know how like it just kind of picks you up and then puts you back down when the wave comes? Do that same thing with your emotions. Your feelings are going to come and they're going to go. Your emotions are going to be really heavy when they are, and then all of a sudden you'll be fine, 2 hours later. Allow yourself to feel every emotion. Grief is not meant to be fixed, it's meant to be felt. So what I'm recommending to you most definitely is, if you're struggling with a loss, if you're struggling with hard feelings, don't chase them away. Just ride them like the wave, right? They will come, they will lift you up, and they will eventually let you back down. Don't be afraid of your feelings. Don't feel like if you open up this floodgate, you'll never get it closed. That is absolutely not the case. In fact, your grief will grow if you don't handle it and deal with it as it comes. So when you need to cry, cry. When you need to punch something, and more like a pillow or something rather than a person. But do what you need to do. Do what you need to do and what's best for you. And just know that the process takes time, and be kind to yourself. Okay? I'm praying for you, Maggie. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My Saturday was good, Kinsey. Thank you. My Saturday was good because it was my mom's birthday, and we celebrated her today. Yep. You're very kind, Jessica. Thank you so much. Wow, that is a beautiful compliment. My skincare routine is really not anything spectacular. Thank you for asking. It's really not. You can ask my daughter. I get pretty much the hand-me-downs of things that she gets sent to her, but I just started taking care of it a few years ago. I most definitely always moisturize and always, get my makeup off, but I'm 49, so I probably have different skincare than what you would have, because when you're 49, you kind of have to do some different things, with different moisturizers and things like that. So I don't do any huge skincare routine. That's what I'm basically trying to tell you. I don't use like 6 different layers of things. I wash it with really good facial cleanser that I got from a dermatologist, and then I moisturize. And I use emu oil on your face. By the way, that is the greatest thing ever, is emu oil. emu oil. It's phenomenal. You can buy it online at Amazon. Make sure that it's the organic kind, but it's called emu oil, and I would definitely swear by that. Sorry, I forgot that is something I do swear by. My skincare routine is nothing great, but I do swear by that for sure. Thank you. I love your rings. Thank you. Is Cole, did you go? Did you go already? Cole, if you are still on, by the way, we needed your help a little bit ago. I had to block somebody. Somebody was not being very kind to us over here. You're here. Oh, yeah. Cole told me, he said, I need a moderator in case somebody starts being mean. I needed a moderator earlier, but I'm good. We are good. We all dealt with it. We did. Oh, you met Jordan at Playlist Live so long ago. She was so sweet. Oh my gosh, that was so long ago. Was it the one, they used to be in Orlando, right? I remember, and Cole will remember too, taking her to her very first Playlist Live, and it was incredible. Like, she left there, and I will tell you this, by the way, when she left her first Playlist weekend, she got in the car with her daddy and myself, and we were driving, and we turned around, and she had huge tears rolling down her face, and we're like, what's wrong? What happened? And she said, I just have such a heart, she had such a following and such an amazing following of people, and she loved you guys so much. But it wasn't until she actually met you in person that connection was made. And when she left Playlist, she was in tears. She was like, I feel so loved, and I love them, and I feel so connected to them. And it was so powerful to her. She loved it. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Jordan and Cole are both influencers. And so Jordan's been on this app since Musical.ly, and Jordan Beckham. And so she's been on this app since Musical.ly, and she's been doing this since she's 12 or 13 years old. And so she, amassed a pretty large following, and Playlist was the first time that she actually connected with you guys in person, and she was never the same. She just had such a heart for you guys, and she absolutely loved it. I met Jordan at the Juice World concert in St. Augustine and at Playlist. Okay, hold on. If Cole's still here, Cole, they met at Juice World. Is that where you met Gavin, Cole? Is that the same one in St. Augustine where you met Gavin? I think it is. I think it is. So Cole met Gavin at a Juice World concert before, that's the first place I ever saw her in person. Right. So you saw her in person there. And then it was was it like 5 years later that you re-met her, a couple years later, and re-met her, and then of course married her like 6 months later? But yeah, that same Juice World concert, sweetie, that you met Jordan, is that same one as where Cole met Gavin. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. I am not Italian. I am not Italian. To answer that question, I am not Italian. I am Czechoslovakian and Scottish. Yeah, I don't know why I'm dark-skinned and dark hair. I don't know. My grandfather my grandfather was from Czechoslovakia, and so he used to joke that a gypsy snuck into camp or something. I don't know. And he used to make a joke out of that, but it might be true. I don't know. Because I think Czechoslovakians are normally like blonde hair, blue-eyed, and then of course Scottish. I'm not quite sure. It doesn't really make sense, but no, I'm not Italian, and I'm not I'm not Spanish or Mexican or anything like that. I get that asked a lot too. Let me see. You're so patient, calm, and non-judgmental. I wish my mom was that way. If my son is still on the line, he's probably going to tell you that yes, I am not non-judgmental, but I have not always been patient and calm. That is for sure. I used to be a ranting, raving lunatic, honestly. And the reason for that, and the reason I'm even telling you that, is because I had a lot of unhealed stuff in my life, and I got triggered really, really easily. And it's when I recognized that my choices were affecting everybody, and my pain of my past was showing up in my present, and I needed to do something about that. So I kind of have this saying that that, you know, if you have issues and you like your issues and you want to keep them, great. But when your issues become everybody else's problem, then you need to change. And that's what happened with me. I had issues, and when I was alone and without kids and without a husband, it was fine. But then when I recognized that my issues became their problem and I was taking it out on them, then I knew that I needed to do some work on myself. And so I started, seeking out resources to get help, and I started I went through therapy, and, obviously I became a minister. So I did a lot of internal work for myself before I could help other people. And so as a result of that, I would say to you that I'm sorry that your mom is not as patient, calm, and non-judgmental as you wish that she was. But maybe if I could just encourage you to kind of see her from a different light, that it's not about you, it's about her. It's about something that's going on in her. And hopefully maybe that will help you to extend grace to her and to know that there's probably some things in her own life that she's not dealt with, and that's why it's coming out on you. And I'm sorry, it's not right. And at the same time, hopefully she'll start recognizing that, and maybe she'll start to do some work on herself, because it's not about you, sweetie. Yeah. There's a reason. Okay. Yeah. How did you know that you were ready for kids? Well, let's see. I was married for 4 years, and we just kind of knew that, we just kind of started desiring that in our lives. We had been married for 4 years. I had always pictured 25 as the year that was like mommy age. I don't know why. All my life, I always thought that 25 is when you start having babies. And I don't know, lo and behold, I really actually did have I had Cole when I was 25. Yeah. I had Cole when I was 25, and then Jordan 3 years later. Yeah. How old were you when you got married? I was 21. I was 21 when I got married. And Sahara, if you're just joining us, I went from strangers to married in 8 weeks. I met him and married him 8 weeks later. So yeah, I was 21 years old. I was young and dumb, but by the grace of God, I met a good man. And even though we just jumped into it, it worked out. We were married for 25 years before he died of COVID. So yeah, thank you for that. Hunter, I am not married anymore. I am widowed. And can we go steady? That's funny. Thank you. When you know, you know. You are absolutely right. Yep. Yep. Yes. Cole's on here being my mediator, apparently. Or my moderator, I should say. So you're asking about the Bible saying that we shouldn't have women preachers. And if you would love to send me your information, I would love to send you all kinds of information back out at you. Because, yeah, God used women all the time. So, yeah. In fact, he used one to bring the word into the world. So I'm not worried about, where I stand with God as far as bringing the word. Not at all. Do I think TikTok will be banned? Oh, gosh. I don't know. I was a part of it, years ago, I know that they said they were going to do this last year, but even before that, I remember Jordan being, I don't know, I think she was maybe 18 or something. I remember being with her. We were in a hotel and it was supposed to have gotten banned way back then. And I remember she was absolutely in tears. Yeah, she was absolutely in tears. So we watched it then not happen. And then we watched it last year not happen. This one's a little bit different, I'm afraid. So I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. And I guess we will wait and see, right? You can catch us over on Instagram and YouTube if it does. I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't, because I really feel like this is a great community over here. So, yeah. Yep. I love it. Yep. Awesome. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Thank you, Zara, for saying that. Even if you date someone longer than 5 years, do you think that's too long before marriage? So listen, there's a lot of caveats to that. Have you been dating somebody for 5 years, and are you old enough to get married and he just doesn't want to, you do? What's the situation there? So, yeah, I would definitely be afraid to answer that question, because there's just too many caveats there. I wouldn't want to say, why is it taking him 5 years to decide that you are the one? I don't want to go right there with you, because I don't know. I mean, is he in college? Have you guys decided that you guys are going to wait that long so that you could, build your life together, build your life and get your degrees and do your thing and then go forward? If that's what you're doing, then there's nothing wrong with that. Jordan's been dating Alec for almost 2 years now, so they have a process in their plan, of where they want to be when they finally get married. So if that's the case, then certainly, no, nothing's wrong with that. But if you feel like you've been dating somebody for 5 years and they're dragging their feet and they just will not make a decision whether or not you are the one, and you're starting to get frustrated by that, I would most definitely say that whatever it is that you need, whatever clarification you need, lean into that. And if it's something that you want to address it. Address it, most definitely. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you don't have to get married, strangers married in 8 weeks. I don't think that's normal at all. Cole and Gavin, they were engaged after 6 months and married, I think, in 9 months. Is that right, Cole? So yeah, so theirs was not very long either, but yeah. Yeah, I don't have hair extensions, but let's do this. Let's figure this out. So we're just gonna let him go. He's gone. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Kayla's saying I need advice. You can DM me. I will be more than happy to help you. Practicing patience on Jesus sending the right man. I hear ya. Scripture doesn't promise marriage. I'm anxious. I'll be praying for you, Lauren. I understand. I do. When I was a pastor and I would look out at my congregation and I would talk about, loneliness and what it was like to be single when I was married, I look at that now and I'm like, man, I did not have the empathy that I needed to have, because it is a whole lot harder to be single. It's not easy. It's not easy. So I understand that struggle now. I understand that struggle of wanting connection and to find your person, and I get it. So as far as practicing patience and waiting for God to bring your person, I would recommend, and you've probably heard it before, but I would recommend that in the waiting, while God is preparing somebody for you, if God is preparing somebody for you, if you believe that that's what's in your future, I would most definitely say that it's a trust game. Like, God, I trust, not only do I trust you, but I trust your timing. And if you trust him and you trust his timing, then in the waiting period, it's not wasted time. It's just waiting time, right? And so in the waiting time, I would say to lean in on taking care of yourself, on becoming the right person so that you can be ready for the right person. Because remember that when that person comes into your life, he's going to be looking for the right person too. And so you prepare yourself. Hopefully he's preparing himself. And then, so just remember that waiting time isn't always wasted time. So try to just encourage yourself with that. Yeah. Good. I'm glad that you needed to hear that. Yep. It's honestly, I think that our main lesson being left here on earth is, when we know the Lord and it's just like, God, what are you doing? Is really just to learn trust. Yeah. Just to learn trust. Oh gosh. Advice for bad friendships and removing yourself from them to focus on yourself. What's the advice? I think, and I don't mean that condescendingly. I mean, like, what's the advice? I think you already know what needs to happen. If they're not the right person, if your inner circle does not cheer the loudest for you, then get a new circle. Because honestly, the people that are closest to you, the people that are, right around you, they should be uplifting you. They should be encouraging you, not tearing you down. If you have friends, and I'm going to say this because, if I can speak for Cole had that. Cole had a lot of friends around him, but he had ones that were not very kind to him, would tear him down in a minute. From an outsider's perspective, like from the mom looking at it, I could tell that there was probably jealousy there, envy there, and he struggled a lot with it. And he was not willing to allow some of those friends to go their way. Like, he kept them in his life and they weren't good for him. So I think you answered your own question in, what do I do with a toxic friendship? You let them go. You start to separate from them, and you recognize that, that you're setting a boundary. When you set a boundary, you're setting it for yourself. You're saying, I know what's right for me and I know what's not, and I'm protecting my peace. There is nothing wrong with protecting your peace. It doesn't make you mean. It doesn't make you unchristian. If you're a Christian, I hear people say that all the time. Oh, I can't cut them off because I'm a Christian and Jesus wouldn't do that. No. Jesus used to whittle his own whip before he would go to the temple and kick some butt and run everybody out of there. So listen, there's plenty of confrontation that Jesus had in scripture. So you don't have to worry about, it's how you do it. It's not that you do it, it's how you do it, right? You can always cut somebody off, distance yourself from somebody in a very loving way. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be harsh. You don't have to be rude about it, but you do what's right for you, and you start setting some boundaries and protecting your peace. If you know for a fact that that person is not good for you, start distancing yourself and choosing what's right for you. Yep. Absolutely. You are very, very welcome. So hard to find a good new circle, including family. You have to use discernment. Yeah, you have to use discernment. And with your family, you have to use grace. Yeah, most definitely. Finding a new circle, I love that. Cole and I did a podcast on it. I love that little, picture of, and I know this sounds cheesy, but that little picture of like the worm or the caterpillar or whatever sitting at a table with a butterfly, and the caterpillar says, "You've changed," and the butterfly says, "We're supposed to." And that's really, it's very simple, but it's true. Like, as you grow, as we grow, as we become new versions of ourselves, and we go through different situations in our life or different hard times in our life, or we just begin to evolve and grow, we're not always going to take people with us. We're not, the same people that start with you are not always the people that end with you, And my husband used to use this analogy that, just drive the bus. There's going to be people that jump on and go 1 or 2 stops with you and then jump off. There are going to be some that jump on and that are going to go 5 stops with you. There are going to be some that stay on the bus with you all the way. You don't control who gets on and who gets off. You just keep driving the bus. Just keep going in the direction that you're supposed to go. Keep doing the things that that light you up, that you're passionate about, that you want to do, and be very cognizant of your own needs, and live your life with grace and love for other people. But that doesn't mean that you have to be a doormat. There is a big difference between grace and a doormat, and you don't have to keep people in your life, and you don't have to beg somebody to love you or to stay with you. If you've got to beg somebody to stay with you, you've got to beg somebody to love you, then they need to go. They need to go, because you if you've got to convince them today, you're going to have to convince them tomorrow. And you're going to be waking up every day to convince that person to stay. So let them go. Yeah. Be nice. You're very welcome. All right, let's see. Do we have another issue that I need to handle? Sorry, guys. I realize that staying to myself and working on my inner self is more beneficial. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, son. You're so encouraging. We can forgive family, but sometimes we have to step back. Yeah, so let me address this. There's so many caveats to this, so I have to be really, really careful, because if you've got a situation at home where, and I know that one of my girls is on here that Ashlyn's on here that I'm walking through grief recovery, and there are situations in our lives where our family is abusive and you're physically in harm's way, right? And so that is not what I'm talking about. I am talking about the fact that we live in cancel culture, and I fear that many of us are also being very quick to cancel our families and people who are not serving us anymore. And it breaks my heart, because I know that for me, there was a time when I had to love my family from afar, because I was on my own journey, my own spiritual journey. I met my husband, and I had become a Christian, and I was making some changes in my life, and my family didn't understand it. And my family, really was kind of harsh towards me, and really kind of, they just didn't understand my path, and they were not pleasant to be around. They challenged me every time that I was around them. And every time I left there, I left crying. I would go there praying, God, please don't let me lose it on them, and don't let me be hurt by the things that they say. And then every time that I would leave crying. And my husband, instead of my husband saying, cut them off, what we recognize is that you can love somebody from afar. You can put a little bit of distance there. You don't always have to just go, you're done, I'm out of here, you're not being nice to me, or you're abusing me. You can You can learn to love somebody from afar. You can pray for them. You can know that they need help. You can recognize that they're not good for you. They don't bring you peace, but that doesn't mean that you just go, you suck, I'm done with you, right? Not always. And I just want to encourage you that rather than being so quick to canceling people, take some time to see them through different eyes, that obviously whatever they're doing, whatever they're giving to you is an issue with themselves, not about you. And so they need prayer. They need help. They need to change. And maybe, just maybe, you staying in their life and extending grace and praying for them may bring the change to them that you so desperately want them to find, right? And so again, there's a lot of caveats to this. There's a lot of you that are on here that are like, that's not right because, they're hurting me. I just want to encourage you to just pray about it. Just pray about it, because I've lost my dad when I was 14. I've lost my husband. We buried 5 or 6 other people in that same year that I lost my dad. So I know what it is to lose somebody, and I know what it is to live in regret when you lose somebody and you just go, you know what? I shoulda, woulda, coulda. I should have made that relationship better. I should have given them more grace. I should have stayed the course with that person. And so I just want to make sure that you're not setting yourself up for more regret, because I know that God can change anybody. And so I err on the side of learning how to extend grace. And at the times where it's harmful to us, learning how to love somebody from afar. And what does that look like? It looks like I'll still lob a call in. I will still send a card. I will still let you know that I'm here, that I care for you. I'm praying for you. I love you even. And you might have to say, I'm not subjecting myself to this anymore, but I just want you to know that I believe in you and I'm praying for you. It's not whether you stay or you go, it's how you do either one, right? You can leave a situation, you can leave a relationship in a grace-filled way or heaping shame on them. You can walk out the door saying, you're a piece of crap and I always knew you were, and I have no faith that you'll ever change. Or you can walk out the door saying, you know what, this relationship is not one that I can continue in. It's harmful for me. But I want you to know that I'm praying for you and that I care about you, and that it's not a relationship that I can be intimately involved with anymore. I can't be as close to it, but just know that I believe in you and I believe for you and I'll be praying for you. So you can do it. You can do it either way. You know what I mean? You don't have to, you can learn to love people from afar and give them grace. In the college dating scene, how can you avoid those just wanting to hook up impurity when facing temptation? Start with putting yourself in right places. Like if you recognize that the place that you're going or the people that you're hanging out with are not in the same mindset as you and they're not protecting their own purity, then chances are you're going to be completely faced with temptation every time you turn around. And so if you want to make it easier for yourself, then control your environment better. That's what I would say. Because you can't change other people, right? You can't change what they do. You can't change them, but you can change you. And you can't always change your friends, but you can change your friends, right? Like you can't change them, but you can change your circle of friends. You can't always change your friend, but you can change your circle of friends. So just kind of control your environment a little bit better. And if you know that you're walking into a place where it's like party, or you're walking into a place at college where everybody's, drunk or high or doing their thing, then pretty much chalk it up to the fact that you probably are going to get faced with a lot more temptation than you may be able to handle. And so the Bible says to make no provisions for your flesh. In other words, control your environment better and make better choices up front so that you're not confronted with that decision in the heat of the moment, because that's probably going to be something that it's going to be really hard to walk away from. Yeah. College dating scene. I don't think any dating scene is very good right now. Yeah. Advice for bad family members who use their wealth in a way to belittle my family. So there's this theory out there. It's not really a theory. Mel Robbins just wrote a book about it. You've probably heard it a lot. It's called the let them theory. And here's how it goes. Let them be who they are. Let them do what they're doing. Let them use their wealth. Let them think that they're better than you. Let them do what they're doing. And then let you focus on what you know to be true. That they're not better than you, that there's nothing wrong with you, and that you don't have to be affected by how they feel or how they're trying to make you feel, right? Because nobody can make you feel anything. We give them permission to we give ourselves permission to feel that way. Don't do that. So recognize that, let them be who they are. You can't change them. And pray for them. And then let you focus on the truth of who you are. You can't really change them, honey, at all. Yeah. Again, I err on the side of grace. You can never get in somebody's face and tell them that, what they need to do. Most likely you can just pray for them and ask for God to do a work inside them that you can't do, because God can change anybody's heart, right? So, yeah. Yeah, just let them. Paula Abdul. Marvin, are you saying I look like Paula Abdul? And I'm old enough to know who she is, so apparently you are too. That's funny. Thank you. Thank you very much. I am doing amazing, Marissa. Thank you. I keep getting the question, thoughts on living together before married. I'm not a fan of it. At all. Statistics says that you're more likely to not get married or to end in divorce if you do live together beforehand. I mean, I'm just looking at statistics, and I'm also looking at just where that leads you to, right? And we were talking about temptation before. We were talking about all of that. I think that when you start playing house too soon, that you set yourself up for, giving yourself an out. Like, okay, for instance, when Cole and Gavin were dating, they were going to, they were thinking about having a really, really long engagement and, dating for a longer time and possibly living together. And I remember sitting down with them, and I remember saying, look, if you guys know that you want to get married, and you know that that's what your, that's your end game, that's your end goal, then why prolong it? Like, why put yourself in a position where you guys are living together and you're giving yourself an opportunity that when you start living together, everything's different. Like, you see each other in such a different light. You see each other in such a different way, and all kinds of things come up that you are not prepared for. And if your relationship is not already solid and is, in stone, like, with commitment, then there's a really good chance that the issues that you run into when you're living together will be the very thing that separates you before you ever get to the altar. And so not only do I not agree with it because of biblical reasons, but I don't think that it's healthy. I don't think that it's healthy for you. I don't think that it leads all the time to the marriage that you hope it will. Because living with somebody is a very different world. And when you start playing house with somebody, it changes. And if that person still has an out, that person may take it. So yeah, I do not recommend it at all. I do not recommend it. Again, biblically, I don't recommend it at all, but I don't think that's what you were asking. I don't think that it's healthy at all. Yeah. Oh gosh, let me deal with this one. Advice for taking a step in your own life and moving far away for college, but feeling guilty for leaving your family. All right, I want to deal with this one. It's your time to live. It's your time to live. It's your time to go after your dreams. It's your time it's not about being selfish. It's about the time, the fact that this is your time. It's your time to launch out. It's your time to go pursue your own dreams and goals. I'm not going to, mention her name, but one of Jordan's very close friends was like a second daughter to me, and she felt the same way. She's like, my family doesn't want me to leave. They don't want me to go away to college. I want to go away to college. I really want to, go, and I want to spread my wings, but I feel really bad and they don't want me to go. And, I said the same thing to her is, sweetie, this is your time, and your family, if they're not happy for you and they're not encouraging you to go after your dreams, they should be. And so you may have to use the let them theory with them too, and just be like, again, remember, it's not if you do it, it's how you do it, right? Like, you can go away to college going, screw you guys, you don't want what's best for me. Or you can just understand that they're going to have a hard time with it. You're probably going to have a hard time with it, but you don't live your life because of feeling guilty about how they're going to feel when you go to live your life. And I'm going to say it this way. You can go away to school going, mom, dad, family, I love you guys so much. I'm not leaving you. I'm going away to school, and my heart is still with you. And, you help them and let them know how much you care, but you don't live your life by it. And the reason I'm going to say that is this: when Jordan and Cole, after we lost my husband and, their dad, Cole went off and got married, and basically Jordan was left in the house with me. And she wanted to move out, but she felt bad for me because I was alone. And it got to the point where it was just very uncomfortable for the both of us. It was hard for us to live because I knew that she wasn't living her life because she felt bad for me. And I hated that feeling. I hated knowing that she felt that way. And she would go out at night, with her boyfriend. And when she would go, she would always come to me and she would have that look on her face like, I'm so sorry, I'm leaving you type of thing. And I would just tell her, baby girl, go live your life, go have fun. And she wouldn't even get down to the stop sign before she was texting me to say, Mommy, I'm sorry I left you. Or Mom, I'm sorry that I'm not there with you tonight. And I had to recognize that I was holding her back from living. So I want to encourage you, please don't hold yourself back from living. Sit down with your family and talk to them about it. And they should be happy for you. And if they're not, you can still go away to college reassuring them that you love them and that you care about them and that they're not losing you. Okay? So don't be controlled by other people's emotions. You do you, and let them. If they're struggling, you might have to let them for a little bit. I don't even know where we're at right now. Hang on one second. Okay. I'm probably going to, I don't even know what time it is. You are very welcome. It's 12:32 right now. Okay. Thank you, son. I appreciate that. So thank you guys. So I will probably go ahead and wrap up. And I will just say this. I'm a mom, right? And you guys know that. I'm 49 years old. I have 2 children. One of them's 24 and married. The other one is 21. And they're both amazing human beings. I love them so much. I have always raised them to love the Lord, okay? To pray about the decisions that they make, to not do things for us, but to do things based on whose they are, that they belong to the Lord. So it's like that's the first one that you answer to. And then for us, but then you're going to end up doing you. You're going to end up making mistakes. You're going to end up making decisions that you're going to regret. You're going to end up doing things that do not please your dad and I. But here's the thing. There's nothing that you can do, ever do, that will keep me from loving you. There is nothing that you could ever do that would make me say you are no longer a part of this family. And so as a mom, I always extended grace to my children, and I always knew that they weren't always going to please me, that they weren't always going to make the decisions that I wanted. In fact, my kids have made some really bad choices, but so did I. So did I. I made horrible decisions when I was their age, and I remember that. And so this is what I know. I know that my kids are going to make choices that I don't agree with. They're going to make choices that I am not happy about and enthused about. But guess what? They're their own person. And if they were still living under my roof, and if they were still like involved in my life to the point where, you know, they're teenagers and I'm trying to rear them, then that's one thing. But this is what I know. I know that I have deposited everything that I could possibly deposit inside of them when they were under my roof. And I gave them the knowledge and the love, the knowledge of God's love for them, and the knowledge that I love them and that I care for them, and that there's nothing they could ever do to keep that from happening, and that there's nothing that they could ever do to make God not love them. So they receive that from us. And then the choices that they make from that point is up to them. And regardless of where you are in your life, if you're like maybe living under a home where, you know, your parents are not pleased with you of what you're doing, or, you know, you kind of live under their thumb, or, you know, they're controlling or whatever. I just want to encourage you that I know that not all parents are going to give you the grace that you need, but, if you keep your life centered on whose you are and you belong to the Lord, if you're a Christian and you belong to the Lord, or you're just at a place right now where it's like you're trying to make decisions, start there first and have that conversation with the Lord. Ask him for direction, ask him for guidance. And then what I would say to you is examine your own heart. Where are you? What is it that you need? What is it that you're wanting? And then go to your parents. If you're young enough and you're still under their roof, go to your parents and talk to them and give them an opportunity. Give them an opportunity to weigh in. And if they don't come back at you and meet you there with grace, at least you gave it a shot to talk with them. But I'm just going to encourage you, give your parents a shot. And if your parents are in a situation where they're just not on board with you and you still live, you know, under their roof, then you are obligated to do what you need to do because, you know, you live under their roof and they pay your bills and all that stuff. But other than that, when it's time for you to go and to chase your dreams, you're not always going to make right choices, and your parents are not always going to be happy with you, but they should always love you, and they should never cancel you as their child. So if you don't have that type of relationship with your parents, I'm sorry. And if there's anything that I can do for you, you know, message me and I'll, you know, try my best to, you know, counsel you through it. But have conversations, guys. Don't just have conversations. Sit down with them and try to talk it through. Because most of the time, what I find is that kids just think that their parents are in one place and they just really haven't sat down with them and talked about them. I've talked, you know, these things through with them. And I don't always agree with the choices that my kids make, but I love them and I'm there with them and nothing will ever change that. And that's how that goes. So, yeah. So I just wanted to share that with you because, good. I'm glad that you're very close to your grandma. That's good. And I just wanted to share that with you too, because, you know, I know that you guys watch my kids grow up online, and I know that you have been around. Some of you have been around a really long time, and you're very, you know, you've been kind of watching our family for a really long time. And I know that some of you ask me about, you know, my thoughts and choices about, you know, decisions that they make. All I know is that I can share the love of God with them, and I can share with them how much I love and honor them and respect them and care for them as human beings. And yeah, nothing will ever change that. And whether I agree with all of their choices or not doesn't matter, right? They're old enough to make their decisions. And just like my mom did for me, if they ever fall flat on their face, I'll be right there to pick them up. So that's where I'm at. Yeah. Jordan has always been an inspiration to me and to me too. That girl is a tough cookie. I love her so much. Yep. Thank you for saying that we did an amazing job. We screwed up a lot, and but we always went back and apologized to our kids and said, look, we're trying to figure this out too. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you for my hair color's perfect. Thank you for that. Thank you. I sometimes put more blonde in it, but yeah, no, I think as I age, probably different colors of brown are good. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, guys, I'll wrap up because it's like, I think it's like almost 1 o'clock Florida time. So I don't know where you are, but I just want to tell you thank you so much for joining me. This was only my second live ever. And, if you were on last night for my first one, thank you if you came back. And if you joined me for the second one, thank you for that. And I'll, try to do more because like I said, I want to connect. I want to keep doing ministry. I want to keep being there for people. And I know that many of you have been in our lives for a really long time watching our family online. And I just, I appreciate it. And I love you guys. So have an amazing night. And, again, follow me over there on Instagram. I do try to answer all of my DMs as quickly as possible. But I'm on Instagram, and then I'm going to hopefully start doing some more YouTube podcasts and videos for some of the questions that you keep asking. Like maybe I'll do like a most frequently asked questions and then actually give real answers rather than right here. I'll kind of give like steps and numbers and things like that. Cole and I did some podcasts together and I loved that. And so a lot of you said that you really enjoyed that because it was the perspective of like parent and kid and different generations. And so I really enjoyed doing that with him. So we might do some more of that. And I don't think I'll ever get Jordan on a podcast, but I definitely wish she would, but I don't think that she will. She always says that that's not her wheelhouse, but that's okay. But Cole and I will probably jump on some more and do them. And so submit questions that you have. If there's something that I can answer, I'll start doing some YouTube videos about them. And I just love you guys very, very much. Have an amazing night. And just thank you again. And Cole, if you're still around, thank you for joining me, bud. I love you, bud. I'll talk to you soon. Love you guys.